And when I say shared mimetic structure, I mean our collective cultural unconscious, in which our origin story is derived from. Our origin story is derived from this place that uh, Dr. Richard D. King described as the black dot, which is also, he breaks down within his book, his work, the African origins of the African origins of biological psychology. Psychiatry. I'm sorry. And in relationship to your pituitary gland, babe, it's pituitary, right? Pituitary, uh, pineal gland, and pineal gland, and the pineal gland, and that these glands are capable of producing this genetically coded information that is derived from our mimetic structure. Again, that's where culture is derived from. It's derived from these shared mimetic and genetic traits. The mimetic being the non-local aspect, the frequency in which we all share, that base frequency in which we share in each one of our individualities, that constitutes our shared genetic structure, which is also based upon the lower frequency. And this is like, this is some science. And again, the data is there within Western science. However, the interpretation of that data is not to the benefit of their ethnic agenda. So therefore, it's not interpreted within the framework of their academia. So, and we're going to explain how the actual information is within the data collected by Western scientists, and how that information is not interpreted within their academia, and why it isn't interpreted or misinterpreted within their data, within their academia, purposely for the purpose of their ethnic agenda. But this information, this non-local information in which we share, which constitutes our particular genetic makeup, which is our basic physiology, which is how we interpret information from the environment. So your physiology and the different and the diversity within your particular physiology plays a part in the way in which you as an individual interpret information from the environment, and how unhealthy or healthy the self-image of that individual in relationship to that group that you are derived from is determines how well you interpret information from the environment. So we have an unhealthy self-image in relationship to our ethnic makeup. Therefore, that is reverbs to our mimetic makeup, which has a psychological manifestation. So, in order to correct that psychological disruption, we need to find an origin story that we modulate, we create, because they modulate our origin story. They tell us who we are, and they tell us that who we are as a result of slavery, and that we were brought over here on ships. And to a large part, we play with that narrative. We accept that narrative, and we operate under that narrative that we were slaves, and then we've made these, inconsistent narratives to replace that narrative as well, like band-aid narratives. Oh, we're all kings, and we all came from Africa, and we were playing king, and somebody just came and snatched us up and threw us here. It's not a cohesive. It's a high entropy replacement for their origin story. We just superimpose this high entropy origin story over their origin story. It's not cohesive, and obviously it's not cohesive, and it's not entirely in line with the actual story that's stemming from our mimetic structure, our collective consciousness, which is our God. See, and the thing about it, we have a collective God that is different from their collective God, because there is no God. But if you want to say God, energy, information that's being transmitted to you from the environment based upon our physiology is different. Nature loves diversity because it hates large systems. And large systems, because they take an inefficient expenditure of energy in order to maintain large systems. So nature likes diversity. So therefore, our diversity is something that nature warrants by way of expending a significant amount of energy in order to maintain it, so it doesn't have to maintain large systems. This includes the human large living system. that we were broken down into diverse systems that nature wants to maintain and has given us certain functions have manifested over the evolutionary process in order to maintain our specific autonomy as a diverse species or a subspecies of the human species, what we call races, which are really just ethnicities, different ethereal manifestations of humans. We are the first, or based within the original manifestation of human, the original man, the original Moor, because Moor is the culture that we develop in order to bring civilization. This is my origin story now. I'm just sharing you with the aspects of the origin story, my input as an African American male into this origin story and the reason why we need this origin story. And I can't say that we need to do something and not actively do it. And I can't say that we need an origin story and then not actively work towards, developing an origin story. I can't say that we need nationality and not actively work towards, developing nationality. I can't say that we need, cultural identity and not actively work towards developing cultural identity or linguistic identity, which is a result of the first two. So as we move through this, I'm going through my own therapy, through my own individual trauma, and that's the thing about it. This is a traumatic experience that our people have experienced and that we need trauma therapy, psychological trauma therapy in order to be able to recover from what we've come out of. Joy DeGroy's, post-traumatic slave stress syndrome disorder is a great book to read. There's some other books, Frantz Fanon's, Wretched of the Earth. There are other, which is the basis in colonize, or in the psychology of colonization, is which, Frantz Fanon starts off in cognitive dissonance and so on and so forth, which are things that we as a people need to really start looking at and investing in. I'm thinking that Leah's here, and I guess she's not. Leah! Oh, she's not here. That's my wife. If you don't know, I don't know, because who could be watching this? That's another one of my things, creative visualization and, the positive manifestation of things. By visualizing them positively, knowing what it is that you want to accomplish and working towards that goal, but always knowing in your head that you've already accomplished that goal, that you're just going through the steps, the motions to catch up with the accomplishment. So, and that's what I look at this in relationship to us as a people, and developing the means in which to us to heal from our collective trauma, because it's a collective trauma. It's a mimetic genetic which is an epigenetic, trauma that has a psychological manifestation as a result of the neurological, neuropsychiatric complications in which that trauma causes. So, your psychology is based upon your neuropsychiatric health, and if you don't have, and that Tai Chi and Taoism comes into play when you talk about parental chi, and that parental chi is the basis of an individual's karma, the result of one's conscious actions, the cause and effect, which is the laws that we're talking about in relationship to, creating your own reality. And that's what we as Black people need to start doing. We need to start creating our own reality. We do create our own reality. This is what we're all talking about. This is what we're really talking about. We're talking about taking responsibility instead of placing blame, seeing fault. Not saying that the individuals or group is not at fault. The white power structure is at fault. But we as a people are now in the position to take responsibility for our own trauma and no longer be codependent upon our oppressors for the recovery from our trauma. You can't get recovery from your trauma from the person who imposed it upon you. You know what I'm saying? Hate thy oppressor in that sense. We need, in that sense of hate, you need to castigate. That hate is castigate. We need a castigation from our oppressor because we have a codependent relationship. So what we're talking about is the means in order to develop a sound, healthy interaction with one another. Oh, you are here. I just called you. What? I mean, I'm trying to talk to her. But anyway, a healthy interaction within our community. The and that problem